Hi there. In this week's edition of The Wrap, we're looking at why people who choose not to be vaccinated will increasingly find other choices made for them and help you make sense of what a cabinet reshuffle, if and when one next happens, entails. Plus, the latest from the Olympics and a look at why fashion inspired by corruption is going popular. So let's dive into your weekly news update brought to you by Verashni Pillay and the explain.co.za team. First up is our take. Vaccine hesitant? Think again. South Africa's Bill of Rights enshrines our right to equality and freedom and the responsibility to uphold it with dignity and pride. So when COVID-19 vaccines became available, the government gave us the freedom to choose whether we'd like to get the vaccine or not. As more people get vaccinated and life slowly begins to return to normal, there's a new debate emerging: life versus the quality of life. That's because increasingly refusing a COVID-19 vaccine will limit your access to certain spaces, hinder your ability to travel, and might even get you into trouble at work. New rules are being introduced for people who choose not to be vaccinated. If you open a policy at Discovery and haven't been vaccinated, your premiums will increase because you're considered high risk. The new rule kicked in on the 29th of July and only affects new policies. And while it's not mandatory to be vaccinated before returning to the office, you will have to provide a constitutional or medical reason for refusing the jab. We're afraid conspiracy theories won't save you here. Travel options will also be limited. Most countries require you to be vaccinated before traveling. South Africa is no exception. In France, people will have to prove that they've been vaccinated before entering a restaurant, bar, or cultural event. In Jakarta, Indonesia's capital, officials are debating whether those who choose not to be vaccinated should be fined. So, your choice will actually hit your wallet. The point, dear reader, is that while you may choose not to get vaccinated, other choices will be made for you in the future. Instead of making the circle bigger, as the 2009 hit would have it, your life will shrink. And it's not just the big stuff. Those who prefer not to party with the unvaccinated may shun you and even limit your romantic opportunities, as dating apps emphasize just how sexy it is to be vaccinated. You pose a risk to people in your social circles too. Do you really want to add unvax to your Tinder profile? You absolutely have the right to say no, but individuals, organizations, and entire states have just as much a right to turn you away. Plus, we all have the responsibility to protect those around us. Let's choose wisely. Up next is the big story. Don't be so coy, Ramaphosa. It seems like everyone is shouting at President Cyril Ramaphosa to just reshuffle his cabinet already. This week, there were more revelations about the Digital Vibes saga. The 150 million rand dodgy communications contract involving suspended Health Minister Zweli Mkhize. We're still waiting for Ramaphosa to release the report by the SIU, the agency responsible for state investigations and litigation. But we got a glimpse of what it says when the SIU this week filed a 90-page affidavit in a court process to recover the money. In a nutshell, Mkhize's son allegedly benefited from the contract. We already knew this, but now details are being fleshed out. The development, together with pressure on several ministers to following the abominable handling of the recent looting, means a reshuffle is due. The upshot is that columnists are literally telling Ramaphosa that they're tired for waiting for a reshuffle. It's easy to be critical, but a cabinet is not a deck of cards. It takes far more time and care to reshuffle the former. Ramaphosa is often criticized for his obsession with playing the long game. As we've said before, there are pros and cons to his approach. If he was a more decisive leader, he would have recalled the he would be recalled by the party by now. Think of Thabo Mbeki. We like to insist he should focus on the country and ignore the crumbling ANC and its factions. But that's just not possible in this current system. Then there's the matter of supply of possible cabinet ministers. Ramaphosa's cabinet choices are mostly entirely limited to the ANC's infamous list. Former ANC Secretary General Ace Magashula controlled the list process during the 2019 elections, giving him significant power in deciding who becomes a member of parliament. This, in turn, considerably weakens Ramaphosa's options. The upshot? Yes, Ramaphosa has had some serious wins with his chess-like patience and waiting game. These include forcing Magashula out and being decisive wins at the NPA and SARS. But public perception is important. He needs to work on being seen as more decisive. On to our briefs for this week. The first up is hands off Rassie. We have to confess, no matter how hard we try, see what we did there, we're just not into rugby. But we are big fans of Rassie Erasmus, SA's no-nonsense, big-hearted director of rugby. As head coach, he led the Springboks to the World Cup glory in 2019, also ending years of ridiculous debate about merit versus quota by showing how both are crucial. So when he was charged with misconduct by World Rugby this week, we sat up and took notice. Here's the background. The British and Irish Lions are in Cape Town playing 3 test matches against the Boks. But the first of the matches, on July 24, angered local fans after the match officials and referee made a series of what seemed to be questionable decisions, putting SA on the back foot. We lost badly. We've all shouted at the referee from the safety of our couches, but Erasmus took it one step further with a 62-minute video in which he called out 26 mistakes. He took particular issue with what he called the lack of respect for Team SA. In one clip he featured, the referee turned his back on Captain Siya Kolisi and continued to laugh at his concerns while talking respectfully to his Lions counterparts. Many think Erasmus leaked the video just in time for the next test match on Sunday. If he did, it worked. SA won convincingly. World Rugby essentially says that it's against rules to question referees, and has charged Erasmus under Clause 18 of its Code of Conduct. It's worth noting that the Lions also criticize officials, albeit not as thoroughly, but we're just wrapped over our knuckles. The larger issue here is that a highly flawed refereeing system that continues to go unchallenged and displays very little transparency. Being the popular figure that he is, Erasmus has won support. The US-based majority owner of the Sharks tweeted on Wednesday that he has a team of New York lawyers to take care of Rassie and SA Rugby. Let us put World Rugby on trial. If Erasmus is found guilty, he could face anything from a warning to a suspension from coaching or administration roles in the game. Meanwhile, the final deciding match is on Saturday. Go Booker, go Rassie. We're behind you all the way. And our next brief is on the Olympic, giving you an update and a mea culpa. We pride ourselves on being carefully fact-checking everything that appears in our weekly wrap. But last week, we made 2 mistakes. First, we misspelled our gold medal hero, Tajana Schoenmaker's surname. And then we said her silver medal win earlier in the week was for a 15-meter event. It wasn't. She scored silver in the 100-meter breaststroke. We're really sorry, Tajana, and sorry to you, our readers, for the errors. We'll make sure to pick up our game and go for gold with every fact in future. On that note, Schumacher's gold made even shinier was made even shinier because she smashed the 200-meter breaststroke world record to win it, had us hitting the ceiling with delight. Her achievement was hailed by the first and last, until now at least, SA woman swimmer to score gold at the Games, Penny Haynes. Haynes scooped up 2 golds at the 1996 Atlanta Games in the 100-meter and 200-meter breaststroke. Sadly, it's been otherwise quiet on the medal front. By Thursday afternoon, SA had 3 medals, Schumacher's 2, and the silver that Bianca Buitendag earned in the women's shortboard surfing contest, that is, sorry. Our heavily favored track and field athletes worked hard, but nobody placed among the medals. Good thing that Olympians from several other countries on the continent gave us plenty of Pan-African pride. We're particularly thrilled by 18-year-old Namibian Christine Mboma, who picked up the silver in the 200-meter sprint. Mboma and her teammate Beatrice Masilingi were declared ineligible for the 400-meter race because of what the New York Times describes as a genetic condition that raises their testosterone levels. The silver then may be a little bit bittersweet. Imagine having to outpace not just other athletes, but controversial rules that many see as another way of policing women's bodies. A reminder that such rules are the reason our beloved Caster Semenya isn't at the Olympics this year. She may be missing out on the track action, but Semenya's personal life is extremely happy. She and her wife, Violet Raseboya, announced in late July that they're expecting a second child together. Super excited for them. And fashion meets politics. Politically conscious fashion, we absolutely here for it. Tebe Magugu is a 27-year-old South African fashion designer whose work has reached the wardrobes of international artists like Beyonce, Miley Cyrus, and Issa Rae. But he is no ordinary fashion designer. Magugu aims to take South African politics and stories to the world. In an interview with Metal magazine, Magugu said his designs are inspired by Mandy Wiener's book, The Whistleblowers, Zapira's iconic cartoons, and articles in the Daily Maverick. His clothes tell a story, as he told Metal magazine. I think fashion is at its weakest when it's just a product for a product's sake, and is at its strongest when it's addressing society and bringing certain issues to light. Magugu won the coveted LVMH prize awarded by a luxury brand in 2019, and his full menswear collection debuted in Pitti Uomo, an influential trade show held in Italy. Tebe Magugu, remember the name. Eskom's Medupi is almost complete. It's taken 7 years longer than planned, and its final price tag is set at 135 billion, way higher than the planned 80 billion rands. But the Medupi power station, the biggest, dry, cold, and most expensive power station in the world, is almost complete. Construction is done, and at last, making the announcement on Monday, the 2nd of August, Eskom said it will take another 24 months to implement technical solutions for some mechanisms. Once that work is done, the Daily Maverick reported, Eskom promises that Medupi will reliably deliver power to the national grid at full capacity, helping increase energy security for the country. That's a relief. Problems at Medupi and its still incomplete counterpart, Kusile, are largely responsible for the power outages often experienced in South Africa. This week's news is long overdue, so we are cautiously celebrating. Together with the recent announcement freeing up independent power producers, our energy future isn't looking quite as dim. And in lotto news, the biggest win of the lotto happened in the Northwest. An unemployed mother in the Northwest province used her banking app and 15 Rand to play the Powerball on the 27th of July. She selected her usual numbers manually: 5, 12, 15, 29, and Powerball number 14. Imagine her shock when she became the second highest Powerball jackpot winner in the history of SA Lottery, winning 158 million rands. I kept on checking the numbers throughout the day to ensure that I was not mistaken or that I would wake up from a dream, she says in an article. We love her level-headed plans for the money. She intends to build a house that she's always dreamed of and invest the rest for her future and that of her children's education, while a portion will go to charity. But our favorite bit is her plan to take up a trip to Durban with her family, as she had never been to the seaside before. Here at explain.co.za, we love to celebrate big wins, big and small, of all our fellow South Africans. So cheers to you, Mama, and to your dreams coming true. And on to our adulting brief. Be careful with your property investments. If you're a property investor, take note. With the economy still recovering from the pandemic, landlords have been forced to accept significant cuts to their rental fees, particularly in retail and office space. Meanwhile, residential property boom has meant losing tenants as they become first-time home owners. This week, the Sunday Times reported that Liberty 2 Degrees, the group which lists retail properties such as Sandton City, saw rental decreases averaging from 21% and 26.6% for offices and retail, respectively. In terms of residential, growth was negative in 2020, according to PayProp's latest rental index, the first since the index was launched in 2012. Experts say it's far better to keep tenants, even if they pay far less than you'd like, rather than having vacant space. No one knows when demand for retail and office space will pick up again. Some properties could still be vacant for 6 months or possibly even longer. But property owners are optimistic that with eased lockdown restrictions in the second half of the year, we'll see smaller cuts to rental fees. And sadly, in our next brief, abuse has come into the spotlight all over the world. There have been a number of developments around abuse accusations leveled at high-profile men, so we thought we'd round them up. South African celebrity Somizi Mhlongo has been accused of physically abusing his estranged husband, media personality Mohale Mutawong. The celebrated marriage between the pair, the subject of a reality show and many column inches, has come apart with rumors of infidelity and a pending divorce floating about. On Sunday, Mutawong made explosive domestic abuse allegations against his husband in an audio interview, Channel 24 reported, saying he was threatened at knife point and beaten up. Since the accusations emerged, Mhlongo has taken time off presenting a show on Metro FM, the station said. Mhlongo himself declined to comment, saying lawyers are handling the matter. Further abroad, R. Kelly, popular R&B singer, the sex trafficking trial will kick off next week. The singer, who has been in jail for the past 2 years, has been accused of racketeering, bribery, and sexual abuse. He allegedly ran a criminal scheme in which women and underage girls were recruited to perform sexual acts with him. Also, in the US, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has formally been accused by the state's Attorney General of harassing 11 women. Cuomo was first accused of sexual misconduct last year, but following a press conference last week, several other women came forward with their testimony and experiences going back as far as 2013, the Daily Mail reported. The governor denied the allegations and says he will not resign. On to more sad news now. Farewell, Shona Ferguson. Producer, writer, creative, and actor Shauna Ferguson succumbed to COVID-19 on the 30th of July and was laid to rest yesterday on Wednesday. The co-founder of Ferguson Films, affectionately known as Uncle Shaw, will be remembered as being an innovator and a pioneer. Go well, Uncle Shaw. That's it from us at The Wrap, an award-winning product of explain.co.za. Simple news summaries for busy people. Remember to share the love and tell your friends to sign up for updates at our website at www.explain.co.za/subscribe/. Till next time, goodbye from the team.